Rain hammers the pavement like God's own drum roll as 21-year-old nursing student Tracy Kelton fumbles with grocery bags at her apartment door. Inside, neighbors hear a muffled thud. Boom. Something heavy hitting the floor. They shrug it off. Probably nothing. Just the storm playing tricks. By morning, Tracy's gone. Her apartment door hangs open like a silent scream. Groceries scattered across the kitchen. Apples rolling. Eggs cracked and oozing. A shattered lamp bleeds glass across the carpet. And near the entryway, a dark stain seeps into the floor. Ominous and unexplained, but it's what's on the kitchen table that stops investigators cold. A half-written note in Tracy's frantic handwriting, scrawled on whatever she could grab. He keeps coming by, says he can fix the heater again, and it just stops, mid-sentence, mid-thought, like she heard something or someone that made her drop the pen and never pick it back up. The maintenance man has keys. He's been around too much, always offering to fix things. Suspicions run hot, but this is 1993. No DNA magic, no forensic miracles. He walks. Tracy vanishes into that rainy night, leaving behind questions that would haunt Terre Haute for 27 years. What happened in those final seconds? Who was he, and why did that warning end like a scream cut short? The answers were buried, but not forever. Hit subscribe if you believe everyone should be treated fairly. Only haters, manipulators, and trolls won't subscribe. If you believe people should be treated fairly, hit subscribe. Trolls won't. Comment, "I stand for justice," if you're not siding with the bully. It's March 6th, 1993, and the rain's pounding down on Terre Haute, Indiana. Like it's got a grudge against the whole town. You know that kind of Midwest downpour where the sky just opens up and soaks everything in sight? Yeah, that's the scene. Tracy Kelton, this bright-eyed 21-year-old nursing student at Indiana State University. She's just wrapping up a late-night grocery run. She's probably thinking about her classes tomorrow, maybe whipping up a quick dinner before hitting the books. Life's normal, right? Until it ain't. Tracy pulls into the parking lot of her apartment complex, arms loaded with those flimsy plastic bags full of milk, bread, maybe some ramen for those all-nighters. She fumbles with her keys, steps inside her cozy little place. Nothing fancy, just a typical college pad with posters on the walls and textbooks scattered around. Around 7:30 p.m., her neighbors hear this muffled thud, like boom, something heavy hitting the floor. They pause for a sec, glance at each other over their TV dinners, and shrug it off. Probably just the wind knocking over trash cans, one says. Or that clumsy girl upstairs dropping her laundry basket again. The other chuckles. Hey, we've all been there, ignoring those weird noises because, come on, it's probably nothing, right? Fast forward to the next morning. The rain's let up a bit, but Tracy's beat-up old sedan is still sitting there in the lot, untouched, keys probably dangling from the ignition or something. Her apartment door? It's cracked open just a hair, not locked, not even fully shut. Kinda gives you chills, doesn't it? Like, who leaves their door like that in the middle of the night? Cops get called, they push inside, and bam, the place is a mess. Groceries spilled all over the kitchen floor, apples rolling under the table, a carton of eggs cracked and oozing yolk. The lamps smashed to bits on the living room carpet, shards everywhere like confetti from a nightmare party. And right near the entryway, there's this weird stain on the carpet, dark, ominous, like something got spilled that wasn't supposed to be. Blood? Struggle? On the kitchen table, there's this half-written note in Tracy's handwriting. It's scribbled on a napkin or whatever was handy, like she was in a hurry. It reads, "He keeps coming by, says he can fix the heater again, but..." And that's it. It just stops. Mid-sentence. Like she got interrupted by something, or someone, that made her drop the pen and never pick it back up. Detectives swarm the scene, piecing it together. They zero in on the maintenance guy for the building. You know the type. Handy with tools, always popping in unannounced with that fake friendly smile. "Hey ma'am, just here to check the pipes." He'd been sniffing around Tracy's place more than usual, complaining about her heater acting up. Maybe he offered to fix it one too many times. Suspicions run high. He's got access, he's got opportunity. But this is 1993, folks. No fancy DNA tech like we got now, no CSI magic to swab a scene and nail the perp. They grill him, poke around, but without hard evidence. He walks, and Tracy, she's just gone. Vanished into that rainy night, leaving behind a trail of questions that still haunt Terre Haute to this day. What happened in those final moments? Who was he, and why did that note cut off like a scream silenced? An empty apartment. You know how it goes in these small-town mysteries. The cops show up, lights flashing, sirens wailing, and everyone's hoping for that quick solve like on TV. But nah, not here in Terre Haute. This one's a real head-scratcher that leaves you yelling at the screen. Come on, guys, connect the dots. So the Terre Haute PD rolls in hot the morning after Tracy vanishes. They're canvassing the whole apartment complex like it's a Black Friday sale, knocking on every door, flashing badges, and grilling anybody with a pulse. Neighbors? Yeah, they chat 'em up. Did you hear anything weird last night? See any shady characters lurking? Most folks just shake their heads, sipping their coffee, going, "Nah, officer, break." Just the usual rain, and that thud we figured was nothing big. Maintenance staff gets the third degree, too. Those guys who fix leaky faucets and pretend to know plumbing. And Tracy's fellow nursing students at Indiana State. They're in tears, spilling about her study groups and how she was always the one bringing snacks. She was so sweet, you know. Always had a smile, even after a double shift. But here's where it gets frustrating as hell. No fingerprints that don't belong, wiped clean or just never there. No signs of forced entry, like the door was opened willingly, maybe for someone she knew. And witnesses? Forget about it. Nobody saw a damn thing. It's like Tracy just poofed into thin air, leaving her apartment echoing empty, with that spilled groceries turning sour on the floor. Now, the detectives zero in on the prime suspects from that cryptic note. First up, Frank Dillard, the head maintenance dude. Picture this grizzled guy in overalls, toolbox in hand, always with that aw shucks grin. They haul him in for questioning, and he's all, "Whoa, hold up, officers. I was off duty that night, out of town visiting my sister in Indy. Got receipts and everything." Alibi checks out on paper. But you can't help wondering, right? Was he really chowing down on Hoosier pie, or was that a cover? Then there's Dean Holloway, the second-string maintenance worker. This guy's younger, maybe a bit twitchy. The very next day after Tracy disappears, he up and quits. Just marches into the office and says, "Screw this. It's too much drama around here. I'm out of here." Red flag much? Cops pull him in too, but both Frank and Dean. They sail through those polygraph tests like pros. No spikes, no sweat, just steady lines saying truth. Hey, we all know lie detectors ain't foolproof, but back in '93, that was gold standard stuff. And get this, the carpet in Tracy's apartment, the one with that suspicious stain. Yeah, the building super replaces it within weeks. Claims it's because of some odor that's making tenants complain. Odor? Come on, man, what kind of smell we talking about? Blood? Bleach? Or just a convenient excuse to ditch evidence? Cops note it, but without fancy forensics, it's another dead end. By 1994, the trail's ice cold. Files get shoved in a drawer, detectives move on to the next case, and Tracy's name fades from the headlines. But her parents? God, breaks your heart. Back in their modest home, they keep her bedroom exactly as she left it. Posters of her favorite bands on the walls, nursing textbooks on the shelf, every photo frozen in time like a shrine. Her mom probably dusts it weekly, whispering, "We'll find you, sweetie," while her dad stares out the window, clenching his fists. It's that raw, everyday pain that hits home, you know? What really went down in that empty apartment? Were Frank and Dean hiding something? Or was there a bigger shadow lurking? Picture this. Years ticking by like a forgotten clock in an attic, gathering dust while the world moves on. But Tracy? She's still out there in the shadows, whispering for justice. Fast forward from that rainy night in Terre Haute, 1993 fades into 94. Then the Y2K buzz, smartphones taking over, and suddenly it's the 2000s. The case file on Tracy Kelton? It's shoved way back in some dimly lit evidence room at the Terre Haute PD, yellowing under fluorescent lights that buzz like angry bees. Leads dry up faster than a creek in July. Detectives retire, new ones come in with fresh eyes, but the same dead ends. Man, this one's a ghost. One cop mutters over coffee, flipping through faded photos of that spilled groceries and broken lamp. The media. They move on to the next big story. OJ, 9/11, reality TV explosions. Tracy's face slips from the front pages to the whatever happened to columns, then poof, gone. But the real gut punch? Tracy's parents. God, these poor folks. Her mom, Linda, she keeps that bedroom shrine going strong at first, dusting Tracy's nursing scrubs, straightening the posters of Whitney Houston and those cheesy rom-coms. "She's coming home, honey," she'd tell her husband. Tom, over breakfast, her voice cracking like old vinyl. Tom's out there every weekend, stapling faded missing flyers to telephone poles, rain or shine. "Somebody's gotta remember," he'd grumble, his calloused hands from years at the factory now trembling. But time's a thief, right? Linda passes in 2008 from a broken heart wrapped in cancer. Doctors say the stress didn't help. Tom hangs on a bit longer. But by 2012, he's gone too. Heart attack in his sleep. No answers, no closure. Just an empty house echoing with what ifs. Imagine that. Dying without knowing what happened to your baby girl. Hits you right in the feels, doesn't it? Like, pour one out for the Keltons, folks. Meanwhile, life steamrolls ahead in Terre Haute. That dingy apartment complex where it all went down? Yeah. It gets a facelift, or more like a full-on witness protection makeover. Sold off in the early 2000s to some big real estate firm chasing that college town boom. They slap on fresh paint, beige over bloodstains, you know? Rename it something generic like Campus View Estates, and jack up the rent for incoming Indiana State freshmen. The old tenants scatter, new ones move in, blasting hip-hop and cramming for exams, oblivious to the ghost in the walls. "Hey, dude, did you hear this place is haunted?" One kid jokes over pizza. But nah, the history's buried deeper than the original carpet. That stain, long gone, replaced and forgotten. The building's got new locks, security cams even, but Tracy's echo? It lingers in the quiet nights, when the wind howls like that 93 storm. Decades pile up like autumn leaves. 2010s roll in with iPhones, Netflix binges, and true crime podcasts exploding everywhere. Shows like Making a Murderer and The Jinx got folks hooked on cold cases, yelling at their screens, "Test the DNA already." And Tracy's story? It pops up now and then on forums like Reddit's RR Unresolved Mysteries, armchair detectives dissecting that half-written note. He keeps coming by, says he can fix the heater again, but theories fly wild. Was it Frank Dillard, the maintenance boss with a shaky alibi? Or Dean Holloway, the quitter who bolted like a scared rabbit? "Polygraphs are junk science, bro," one user posts. Bet they buried evidence. But official-wise? Crickets. The file collects more dust than a grandma's attic, stamped cold in big red letters. Enter 2019, and bam. Enter stage left, Sergeant Elise Monroe. This woman's a force, all right? Tough as nails, with that no-nonsense Midwestern grit you see in those cop shows. She's with the Indiana State Police Cold Case Division, the folks who crack the uncrackable when everyone's given up. She's got a rep for breathing life into dead files. Maybe it's personal. Lost a sister to something unsolved back in her Chicago days. Or maybe she's just wired that way. These victims deserve better. She tells her team over lukewarm station coffee. Let's shake the tree and see what falls. So, Elise pulls Tracy's file, thick as a phone book, smelling like mothballs, and dives in. Hours turn to days, rereading witness statements, poring over grainy photos of that ajar door and spilled apples. Neighbor's thud? Check. No fingerprints? Double check. But then, jackpot, in the back of the evidence locker, buried under boxes of 80s drug busts. She finds it, a sealed plastic bag, yellowed label scrawled in faded Sharpie. Apartment fiber samples, 1993. Her heart skips. Holy crap, guys, look at this. Carpet fibers. Tiny scraps from that suspicious stain near the entry, snipped by some rookie back in the day and forgotten. Untested, untouched. Why? 'Cause in '93, DNA tech was baby steps. Think clunky labs needing buckets of blood, not these whisper-thin traces. But now, Elise's eyes light up like Christmas. She ships them off to a state-of-the-art lab in Indy, specialists in touch DNA recovery. You know, that sci-fi stuff where they pull genetic gold from a single skin cell left on a doorknob or, yeah, a carpet fiber. Tech that didn't exist when Bill Clinton was jamming on sax or when Tracy dreamed of saving lives as a nurse. Weeks crawl by. Lab techs in white coats hunch over microscopes, humming along to Spotify while machines whir and beep. Elise paces her office, chugging Red Bull, fielding calls from Tracy's distant relatives who've caught wind. Please, Sergeant, give us something, they beg. The apartment's long changed, parents gone, but hope? It's flickering back to life. What if those fibers hold the key? A stray hair from the killer, sweat from a struggle. Come on, science, Elise mutters, staring at her phone for the results email. That's where the dust starts flying off this case. But what do those tests reveal? Does it point back to Frank or Dean? Or someone we never saw coming? Stick around for part 4, because the truth's about to explode like a Midwest thunderstorm. Hit like if you're hooked. Comment your theories below. Was it the maintenance man or something way darker? Tracy Kelton's rainy night vanishing in 93 Terra Haute has us all on pins and needles. But if you're ride or die with this series, you know, Sergeant Elise Monroe just unearthed those forgotten carpet fibers from the evidence locker. Now, in 2019, those tiny scraps are headed to a high-tech lab. And folks, what happens next? It's straight out of a thriller script. The kind that makes you pause your binge watch to text your buddy, "Dude, you gotta see this." We're talking forensic magic that waited decades to whisper the truth. But will it finally nail the perp, or just unravel more knots? Remember those carpet fibers? Snipped from that eerie stain near Tracy's door, sealed away like a time capsule from the Clinton era. Back in '93, tech was clunky. No smartphones, no 23andMe, just basic blood typing that couldn't touch this stuff. But Elise Monroe? She's playing 4D chess. She packs them up and ships them to this cutting-edge lab in Indianapolis, where white-coated wizards specialize in touch DNA. You know, that next-level science where they snag genetic fingerprints from a mere brush of skin. Sweat, flakes, whatever a killer leaves behind without knowing. Come on, baby, give us something. Elise probably mutters, pacing her office like a caged tiger, her desk piled with Red Bull cans and dog-eared files. Weeks drag on. Lab techs huddle over humming machines, pipettes clicking like Morse code. The air's thick with anticipation. Elise fields calls from Tracy's cousins, now scattered across the Midwest, their voices hopeful but haunted. "Sergeant, is this it? After all these years?" Finally, the email pings. Results are in. Boom. Male touch DNA extracted from the fibers. Clear profile, no degradation despite the dust. Holy smokes, Elise exhales, fist pumping the air. It's a breakthrough, all right. The kind that turns cold cases hot faster than a microwave burrito. But here's the first twist. They run it through CODIS, that massive FBI database of criminal DNA. Nady, no hits, zilch. It's like the guy's a ghost, never arrested, never swabbed. "All right, plan B," Elise says, rolling up her sleeves. "Time to go rogue, well, legally rogue." Enter Genetic Genealogy, the game changer that's cracked Golden State Killer and a slew of others. They upload the profile to one of those public databases, like GED Match or Family Tree DNA, where folks spit in tubes to find long-lost cousins. Privacy nuts might freak, but for cold cases, it's gold. Analysts build a family tree backward, branching out from distant matches. "Hey, we've got hits in Ohio. Third cousins, maybe," the genealogist reports, mapping it out on a whiteboard like a twisted Ancestry.com ad. Weeks of cross-referencing, birth records, obituaries, census data from dusty archives. Elise's team burns the midnight oil, chugging coffee, piecing together surnames and migrations. And slowly, the tree points east, toward relatives of none other than Frank Dillard. Yeah, that Frank, the maintenance boss from '93, the one with the out-of-town alibi and that polygraph pass. Now living quietly in Dayton, Ohio, pushing 60, probably mowing his lawn like nothing ever happened. Your jaw drops, right? "No way," you mutter, leaning closer to the screen. But Elise? She's all business. "We need confirmation," she tells her partner, a grizzled vet named Ramirez. "Can't bust in without ironclad proof." So they go undercover, stakeout style. Tail Frank to his local diner, where he sips black coffee every morning, chatting up the waitress about the Buckeyes' latest game. "Man, this guy's living the dream while Tracy's family's in pieces," Ramirez grumbles from the unmarked car. Opportunity strikes. Frank tosses his styrofoam cup in the trash after his Joe. Boom, detectives snag it with gloved hands, like pros in a heist flick. Rush it to the lab for a covert swab. Days later, match confirmed. 100%. That touch DNA on Tracy's carpet? It's Frank's, after 26 years of freedom, barbecues, birthdays, watching his kids grow up. The science catches up. "Gotcha," Elise whispers, a grim smile cracking her face. But wait, it gets juicier. Elise doesn't phone it in. Nah, she wants the confrontation up close and personal. She hops in her cruiser, Ramirez shotgun, and they burn rubber to Dayton, a 3-hour drive through flat Indiana farmland turning to Ohio hills. "What if he rabbits?" Ramirez asks, gripping the wheel. "He won't," Elise replies, steel in her voice. Guys like this? They think they've beaten the system. They pull up to Frank's modest ranch-style house. White picket fence, American flag flapping, the works. Frank answers the door in sweatpants and a faded Colts tee, looking every bit the retired grandpa. "Can I help you folks?" he drawls, but his eyes. They flicker when he sees the badges. They sit him down in his living room, photos of grandkids on the mantle, a half-eaten TV dinner cooling on the coffee table. Elise lays it out. The fibers, the DNA, the match. "It's over, Frank. 27 years, but we got you." At first, he denies it, stammering about that old alibi. I was in Indy, swear to God. But the evidence stares him down like a bad poker hand. Sweat beads on his forehead, his hands shake as he lights a cigarette. Finally, he cracks. Confesses right there, voice dropping to a rasp. All right. It was me. But it wasn't supposed to go down like that. Hold up, what? His story spills out, but man, it doesn't quite fit the puzzle. He admits to showing up at Tracy's that night, uninvited, under the guise of fixing the heater one last time. She was always so nice, you know, smiling, offering coffee. But things escalated, an argument, a shove, that muffled thud the neighbors heard. It was an accident, he claims, eyes darting. She fell, hit her head on the table. I panicked, cleaned up what I could, dragged her out to my truck. Buried her in the woods off some back road, he says, but won't pinpoint where. The rain washed away tracks. Elise presses. The note? He keeps coming by. Frank shrugs. Yeah, I was persistent. Thought she liked me. But here's the rub. His timeline's off. Says he dumped the body alone, but those carpet stains suggest more struggle. And Dean Holloway, the quitter? Frank swears he was solo, but Elise smells a rat. Something's missing, she mutters later, driving back. Is Frank covering for someone, or twisting facts to cop a plea? This DNA waited decades to speak, but now it's screaming questions. Does Frank's confession hold water, or is there a deeper twist lurking? What about Tracy's final resting place? Will they find her? Frank Dillard's about to spill his guts in ways that'll have you questioning everything. If you're just jumping in, do yourself a favor. Pause, subscribe, and binge the first 4 parts. Tracy Kelton's 93 disappearance in rainy Terre Haute has twisted us through cold cases, forgotten fibers, and that nail-biting confrontation in Dayton. Now, with Frank's DNA smack on those carpet samples, Sergeant Elise Monroe's got him cornered in his cozy living room. But confessions? Oh, they ain't always clean-cut. Sometimes they're like peeling an onion, layers of lies, tears, and a stink that lingers. Buckle up. This one's got a twist that'll flip the script. Let's unpack it step by step, 'cause you won't want to miss a beat. It's 2019, and Frank Dillard, now 59 with salt and pepper hair and a beer gut from too many backyard barbecues, is sinking into his recliner like a deflated balloon. Elise Monroe and her partner Ramirez loom over him, badges gleaming under the lamp like Judgment Day. The air's thick, smells like stale smoke and regret. Frank's wife peeks from the kitchen, wringing a dish towel, but Elise waves her off. This is between us, ma'am. Frank lights another cig, hands trembling like leaves in a storm. All right, fine, he rasps, exhaling a cloud that hangs heavy. It was me. But you gotta understand, it wasn't supposed to end like that. Elise leans in, recorder rolling. Start from the top, Frank. What really went down that night? He shifts, eyes darting to the family photos on the wall. Kids, grandkids, a life built on secrets. Look, times were tough back then, he mumbles. I was the maintenance guy, had keys to every unit. Folks paid rent in checks, left them in drop boxes or on counters. I started dipping in. Just a little here and there, you know? Cover bills, feed the family. Elise nods, playing it cool, but inside, she's piecing it together. That note Tracy left? He keeps coming by. Says he can fix the heater again, but heater fixes? Nah, that was his cover to snoop. Frank continues, voice cracking. That night, March 6th, rain pouring like Noah's flood. I slipped into Tracy's place while she was out grabbing groceries. Figured she'd be gone longer. was rifling through her drawers for any cash or checks when, bam, she walks in early. Arms full of bags, eyes wide as saucers. "Frank, what the hell?" she yells. Groceries hit the floor, apples rolling everywhere. She screams, grabs the phone to call the cops. I panicked, man. Pure panic. Grabbed her arm, we tussled. Lamp crashes. She slips on the spill, hits her head hard on the table. Thud. Blood everywhere. It all happened so fast. 1 minute she's yelling, next she's gone. He buries his face in his hands, shoulders shaking. I didn't mean to kill her. Accident. Swear on my mama's grave. Ramirez crosses his arms, skeptical. Uh-huh. And the body? Where'd you stash her, Frank? He wipes his eyes, sniffling. Loaded her in my truck, drove out to the woods near Riley, Indiana. You know, that tiny spot off Highway 46. Buried her shallow under some brush. Rain washed away the tracks. Figured no one had looked there. Elise's pulse quickens. This is gold. They cuff him on the spot, read him his rights, and haul him back to Terre Haute for booking. Media explodes. Cold case cracked after 26 years. Headlines scream justice for Tracy. Her face splashed everywhere again. Her extended family weeps on the news. Finally, closure. Thank God for that DNA. Investigators swarm Riley, a sleepy hamlet with more cornfields than people. K9 units sniff out the woods. Metal detectors ping. Days later, jackpot. Skeletal remains unearthed under tangled roots, wrapped in faded remnants of Tracy's jacket. Dental records match. It's her, no doubt. Autopsy confirms blunt force trauma to the skull, consistent with Frank's accident. Case closed. Terre Haute PD high fives. Elise gets a pat on the back from the brass. Great work, Sergeant. Another one for the win column. Frank's charged with manslaughter, theft, tampering. Looking at life behind bars. Folks in town breathe a sigh. About damn time. That creep walked free too long. The autopsy ain't just bones and cause of death. Modern forensics scrape every inch. And bam, 2 distinct male DNA profiles on the remains and clothing. One's Frank's, matches the carpet fibers, no surprise. But the other? Unknown. Not in CODIS, not Tracy's. What the hell? Elise mutters, staring at the report in her cluttered office. Frank said he was alone, no accomplices. Her gut twists. This confession's got holes bigger than Swiss cheese. Was there a partner? A cover-up? She dives back in, caffeine-fueled and relentless. First, she re-scours the 93 files. Witness statements, polygraphs, that quick carpet swap. Then, the apartment staff rosters. Yellowed pages listing maintenance crew. Frank Dillard, head honcho. And below him, Dean Holloway, the second-string guy who quit the day after Tracy vanished, citing too much drama. Remember him? Twitchy, passed the lie detector, vanished like smoke. Elise runs a background. Dean bounced around jobs, settled in Ohio, died in 2008 from liver failure. Booze hound, apparently. No kids, no close kin. But genealogy? That's her ace. She pulls strings, gets a sample from a distant cousin via one of those DNA kits. Lab rushes it. Match. Dean's the second contributor. His DNA all over Tracy's remains. Skin under nails, maybe from a fight. Son of a gun, Elise whispers. They were in it together. Maybe Frank and Dean were tag-teaming the thefts. Tracy catches them both that night. 2 he's lurking. Struggle ensues. Dean helps with the cleanup, the dump. Why'd Frank lie? Protect a dead buddy? Or something darker? Maybe Dean was the real killer. And Frank's taking the fall for old loyalties. Elise grills Frank in interrogation. Dean's DNA, Frank. Spill. He clams up, eyes hollow. Dean's gone. Let it die with him. But Elise ain't buying. This changes everything. Manslaughter? Try murder 1, conspiracy. This confession? It's partial truth wrapped in decades of dust. Tracy's finally found, but justice? It's tangled in 2 men's shadows. Was it theft gone wrong, or a sinister duo preying on a lone student? And why'd Dean bolt and drink himself to death? Guilt? The second man is where the whole tangled web finally unravels. Like pulling a loose thread on an old sweater and watching it all come apart. You've been with us through Tracy Kelton's stormy disappearance in '93 Terre Haute, the dusty cold case revival, Frank Dillard's shaky confession, and now that bombshell autopsy revealing a second DNA profile. Surgeon Elise Monroe's not letting this slide. She's got Frank in the hot seat, and folks, justice is rolling in like a freight train, decades late, but hitting hard. We're talking full confessions, courtroom drama, and the kind of closure that makes you fist pump the air while yelling, "Finally!" But remember, in true crime, the truth often stings. Let's break it down, step by gritty step, and see how the second man seals the deal. Back in the interrogation room at Terre Haute PD, fluorescent lights buzzing like a swarm of doubts. Elise Monroe stares down Frank Dillard. He's cuffed to the table, looking every bit the broken man, bags under his eyes deeper than the Ohio River, fingers drumming a nervous beat. That partial confession about the accidental shove during a botched theft? It's cracking under the weight of new evidence. Elise slides the autopsy report across the table, her voice steady as steel. 2 DNA profiles, Frank. Yours and Dean Holloway's. He's dead. Can't defend himself. But you're here. Time to come clean. All of it. Frank slumps, sweat beading despite the AC cranked high. All right, Sergeant, he sighs, like a tire going flat. You win. It wasn't just me that night. The floodgates open, and man, does it pour. Frank admits the theft angle was spot on. He'd been pinching rent checks for months, using his master key like a golden ticket. That rainy March 6th, he snuck into Tracy's apartment, rifling drawers while she was out grabbing groceries. Easy pickings, he mutters. But Tracy bursts in early, bags tumbling, her scream piercing the storm outside. She lunged for the phone. I grabbed her. We fought. Lamp shatters. She slips, cracks her head, blood everywhere. I thought she was dead. Panic sets in. Frank's fumbling with a rag to mop up when, knock, knock. Dean Holloway, his underling maintenance buddy, shows up unannounced. He'd swing by sometimes after shifts for a beer, Frank claims. Saw the mess, Tracy on the floor, instead of calling 911 or helping her. He froze, then said, "We gotta fix this, Frank. No cops, we'll both go down." Elise leans in, eyes narrowing. Help her or help you? Frank averts his gaze. He checked her pulse, said she was gone, convinced me to stay quiet, man. We clean up, dump her, act like nothing happened. He was the cool head. I was freaking out. Together, they hauled Tracy's body to Frank's truck, drove to those Riley woods, and buried her shallow under the downpour. Back at the apartment, the duo scrubbed like pros, bleach on the stain, yanking up a blood-soaked chunk of carpet near the door. That's why the odor hit quick, Frank explains. We tossed most in a dumpster, but missed some fibers under the baseboard. Dean said, "No one's gonna look that close." Why'd Dean quit the next day? Guilt ate at him, I guess. But he kept his mouth shut, moved away, drank himself numb till he croaked in Ojo ached. The confession's raw, relatable in that twisted way. 2 blue-collar guys, 1 bad decision snowballing into a nightmare. We were idiots, scared stiff. Frank sobs. Thought we'd get away with it. Elise doesn't buy the tears fully, presses on motives. Was it just theft or something creepier? Frank swears no, but that note, he keeps coming by. Hints at stalking vibes. Prosecutors pounce. Felony murder, burglary, abuse of a corpse. No manslaughter plea here. This is heavy. Frank's lawyer scrambles, but with DNA, bones, and his own words. Game over. Cut to the courtroom in 2020. Masks on cause pandemic, but tension thick as fog. Frank, in an orange jumpsuit looking a decade older, stands before the judge. Media packs the gallery, cameras flashing like lightning. He pleads guilty to first-degree murder in a deal. Full disclosure for no death penalty. I deserve this, he mumbles during allocution, voice breaking. Tracy was a good kid. We stole her life. The judge, a no-nonsense vet, slams the gavel. Life without parole. You evaded justice for 27 years, Mr. Dillard. Now, you'll rot reflecting on it. Dean Holloway. Posthumously named co-conspirator in the files, his ghost gets the blame, closing that loop. Tracy's kin, watching via Zoom, weep quietly. It's something, her cousin tells reporters outside, but nothing brings her back. Justice delivered, yeah, but damn, decades too late. Tracy's parents gone, her dreams dust. Frank shuffles off to prison, a forgotten man in a cell, while Terry Oate exhales. Elise? She files the report with a satisfied nod. We got 'em both. But is this the end? Nah, the aftermath lingers like a shadow. Stick around for part 7, where we wrap this haunting tale with poetic closure that'll tug at your heartstrings. Comment below. Does life without parole feel like enough? Like if justice hit home, subscribe for more real chills. We're almost home. Fast forward to spring 2021. The apartment complex, once a crime scene, then renamed and repainted, faces the wrecking ball. Developers swoop in, eyeing prime real estate near Indiana State for shiny new condos. Progress, they call it, bulldozers rumbling like thunder. But Elise Monroe? She pulls strings for one last visit before demo day. Picture her pulling up in her unmarked sedan, badge tucked away, stepping over caution tape into the gutted building. Walls stripped to studs, floors echoing her boots. She stands where Tracy's living room once buzzed with nursing textbooks and laughter, now just concrete and memories. Wind whistles through broken windows, carrying that faint, ghostly chill. You deserved better, kid, Elise murmurs, tracing the outline of where the carpet stain was. It's cathartic, you know, like closing a chapter you've read 100 times. Why the pilgrimage? Closure, sure, but also a hunch. Years back, when Tracy's parents passed, their storage unit got auctioned off. A buyer found a box of her stuff, old diaries, photos, and jackpot. A second draft of that unfinished note, scribbled on scrap paper like a backup. Elise got wind through a tipster, snagged it for the file. It completes the line. He keeps coming by. Says he can fix the heater again, but last time he brought someone with him. Boom. Chills, right? Tracy had clocked both Frank and Dean before, maybe during a prior fix. That's someone? Dean, tagging along like a bad omen. It confirms the duo theory, what DNA whispered and Frank confessed. She knew, Elise tells her team later. Tried to warn herself, but time ran out. Media eats it up. The carpet that solved a murder. Headlines blare, turning Tracy's tragedy into a forensics fairy tale. Elise's closing report? Pure poetry in cop speak. Evidence doesn't forget, she writes. It just waits for someone to listen. No fanfare, just quiet truth. She submits it, clocks out, maybe cracks a beer at home watching the sunset. Tracy's remains. Finally laid to rest beside her folks in a Terre Haute cemetery. Simple plot under oaks, headstone etched. Finally found. Finally heard. Family gathers for a small service. Flowers, tears, stories of the bright nursing student who lit up rooms. She's home now, her aunt whispers, wind-carrying petals like sighs. It's emotional release. Decades of pain easing into peace like rain after drought. Legacy-wise, this case ripples out. The cold case unit, riding the wind, reopens two similar unsolveds. A 90s burglary gone wrong in Indy, another vanished co-ed with maintenance ties. Tracy's carpet changed everything. Elise says in interviews, humble as pie. Touch DNA becomes the hero tool, inspiring podcasts and docs. Terre Haute remembers too, a scholarship in Tracy's name at Indiana State for nursing hopefuls. Keep listening, it urges. Quiet justice, yeah. No parades, but lives touched, lessons learned. As the apartment crumbles to dust, so does the silence. Tracy's heard now, her story a beacon in the dark. Thanks for riding this roller coaster, fam. Justice may tarry, but it arrives. Peace out. Hit subscribe if you believe everyone should be treated fairly. Only haters, manipulators, and trolls won't subscribe. If you believe people should be treated fairly, hit subscribe. Trolls won't. Comment, I stand for justice if you're not siding with the bully.